All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Candy Cast, episode 2. We got Hawk in the studio again today, and yeah, Kevin is not with us right now. He'll probably be back eventually, but today, I don't know why I moved that. Put it back over here. Today we are going to be talking military stories for maybe someone out there that is thinking about joining the military. You're in high school, you're new in the military, you're just about to leave and go. Maybe you can just hear some of these stories and make your own conclusion from there. So, a little backstory. I was in the Marine Corps for 5 years. I got out as a sergeant. You'll get more details later. That's all I'm going to give you right now. Then Hawk, and tell them what you've done.
I've been active duty for 5 years. I'm a petty officer, second class in the Navy. And yeah, like you said, we'll get more into that as we go.
Boom. And then I don't know if I said this last time, but we are brothers, so gives you a little insight on something like that. See if it changes anything. And yeah, and then if you don't know, sergeant and second class right there, that is E5 in both branches. So is my hand in that shot? Just a little bit. All right. And we'll start with you. So you wanted to join, are you a Navy sailor or is it just sailor? Naval sailor?
Navy sailor.
Navy sailor?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so you joined the military in
2017. January of 2017.
What made you want to do that? What was your thought process?
Growing up, doing a lot of things is like my older brother, I wanted to join the Marine Corps, and then it really wasn't until I was getting close to the end of high school. I talked to my mom and my sister, and they're like, you should talk to other branches. I hadn't spoke to anyone else. I just spoke to, the same recruiter. And your recruiter.
Oh, the bald guy?
Yeah. And, I hadn't really done a whole lot of research. I was just like, I'm going to do what Jacob does, blah, blah, blah. And then when I talked to the Navy, I don't really know how things changed, but they did. And then I ended up joining the Navy. And that was a whole mess of things because my first contract isn't my job now. My recruiter, and recruiters are sketchy ass people, messed some stuff up for
Trust
me.
them.
So
they gonna lie.
That's facts. So the second time going in is when I got this contract, and that's the job I have now. I'm a fire controlman.
So you're saying your first enlistment,
no,
your job was different, or when you first signed up, your job was different?
Yeah, so when I first signed up, I had a contract with the Navy as an aviation job, and
doing what?
It was an AV. So
avionics.
No, it's gonna go when you go in to boot camp. I think the Navy's kind of drifted away from this now, but when you sign a contract, you go in, and then at boot camp they tell you which way you're gonna go. It splits into 2 different jobs. So I can give you more information on that as far as mine, but I'll say that in a second.
So AV is more so like a broad spectrum kind of thing.
Right, yeah. So it's going to split between 2 different jobs.
Oh, okay. So that's how mine was too, because y'all have the letters, we have the numbers. So when I first went in, my MOS was just 6,000, and that's aviation.
Right.
And then whenever you get to your A school, I bet it picked that up.
Yeah, probably.
But whenever you get to school, then you break off to your specific numbers. So like I went and I became a 6072. I was no longer a 6,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
So coming in, my recruiter, he took me all the way out of the DEP pool, which is the delayed entry program.
Mm-hmm.
Took me out, misunderstanding, but he shouldn't have gone as far as to do that, especially now being in and looking at what he did was wrong. So anyways,
did it screw you over or anything?
Yeah, I mean it changed my my date as to when I was leaving, because I was supposed to leave right after high school, about a month and a half or so, and the very first part of August. And then when I went back, that job was no longer there. So I told them, I was like, what's the earliest it leaves, or anything leaves? And they're like, I have AECF, Advanced Electronic Computer Field.
Yeah.
Didn't ask a lot of questions. That's a big thing. I think that You need to ask questions. And, that was me being young and ignorant on everything and not asking a lot of a major decision that's going on in my life,
Just a little bit.
Just trying to get out and just leave, that's...
Ask more questions.
And if you don't see the job that you want, it's okay to tell them no. You can come back. You don't have to sign a contract that day.
That's a really good point.
You don't have to. And you can tell them that. And you can come back later and, pick a different job. If you have your mind set. Now, spec ops, that's a whole different animal. But I'm talking like average Joe, normal type job. You don't have to just say like, yeah, I'll just take this, whatever.
If you want to be a maintenance technician and it's not available anymore, come back in a month.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, be open-minded as to what's there, But if you have something you want to do, don't settle. And so that's what I did. And so when I went back the second time, that was no longer there. So I just was like, what leaves the soonest? They said AECF. And that is another one of those jobs that splits between two things. I had no idea.
And that's how you became FC.
Yeah. So it wasn't until the last week of boot camp when they were like, all right, if you're AECF, come over here. So I was like, okay. And they're like, you're going to be an ET, which is an electronics technician, or you're going to be an FC, fire controlman. I had no idea. I was like,
FC or FZ?
FC.
C. Okay.
Yeah. And then they're like, you're going to be split. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Yeah, I had no idea.
I signed up for this. What am I doing now?
Yeah, I was like, no, my stuff changed. I was like, what happened? So anyways, go in and, you have all your schools and stuff like that. But ETs are more radar side and versus fire control, which is more, it's the same thing, but you're dealing on it with weapon systems. So stuff that pertains like radars and guns itself, the weapon systems on that side of the house.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty similar. Theirs is just more radars, navigation, comms type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, and then when you went to school, where was your school at?
So coming out of boot camp, A school and ATT, which is a prereq to A school for us, is in Great Lakes.
Okay. For those of you that are not aware, whenever you join the military, you go to what's called an A school, and that is, it's always going to be after your boot camp, and you're going to go to A school to learn how to do your job, what it is you're going to be doing for the military for the duration of your contract. Some jobs, like he said right there, have prereqs to an A school, and then some jobs have stuff after A school, which is normally called C school, and I've seen some after that. So like for me, I didn't have a prereq, but I did have A school and C school. Did you have C school?
Yeah, I have like 5 C schools.
So you had, okay.
So I have for different things.
Yeah.
So for multiple weapon systems and to work on circuit cards.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll say like a fire happened on the ship and, a card was damaged or whatever. They have taught me how to go in, replace those components, how to manufacture the card.
Like the green.
Yeah. So I
you
learned,
can put one of those together.
Yeah. And I could also make one.
That's pretty cool.
Granted, I have the right tools and the proper materials.
Yeah.
I could fabricate a new card and put the components back together.
Very well. Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Continue.
So it's not as interesting. For me, it didn't work. Like, I don't care for it. It's not really my thing. It's not the type of person I am. And it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But so ATT, that was 10 weeks. And then once you graduate there, you wait for your A school class to class up. And I think mine was about a week or 2. I can't really remember.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started A school. And that was long. I don't even remember how long. But I'm just going to say like 4 months, 5 months. I have no idea.
Waiting to class up?
No.
Your actual class?
Yeah.
How long were you waiting to class up?
Like a week or 2.
Okay. Because
Yeah,
I was waiting to class up for month and a half, maybe.
Oh, wow.
I had people that were waiting like 4 months.
So that's what it was for us for ATT.
Mm-hmm.
To get the ATT, people were waiting months because they were so backed up and just pumping classes through as fast as they can. But, they get so backed up by people being pushed in through boot camp.
And when we say class up like that, just because you get to your A school doesn't mean they're going to have a class or instructors ready to start a course. So you're put in a form of like holding platoon, and What were you? I was a glorified janitor. What were you?
Essentially for the barracks, yeah.
Yeah, you're a glorified janitor, and you're gonna stand a whole lot of duty and do nothing, and just kind of be a paperweight until they're ready for you.
Yeah, that's 100% true. So, luckily I maybe had like maybe a month. I can't really remember. It wasn't that long for me compared to some people.
Yeah.
And then, so ATT, then A school, and then after A school, so we're at quad 0. So you have...
Quad 0?
Yeah, so that just means you don't have any NECs, because for my job, you have to have an NEC to touch any of our equipment.
And that stands for?
Naval Education Course.
Computer class? Is it like a computer course? Or you actually have to go to a physical class?
Yeah, these are for schools.
Okay.
I believe that's what NEC stands for. Someone can tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know.
Google it.
Yeah, nothing I've ever looked into. I just know that was important.
Yeah.
So after A school, I went to CWIS, which is Close-In Weapon System, Phalanx. And that was a pretty cool system.
CWIS is the gray one, the cylindrical.
Yeah, it kind of looks like R2-D2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like this.
There you go. And then, so I went there. And normally in A school, you get to choose what you want by class ranking. So they'll have a set of orders, and then you'd be like, whoever's the top is going to choose first, and then all the way down to the bottom.
That's how they did it with us, too.
But my class is an anomaly, and there was the class behind me, and then my class, we didn't get to choose. They just gave us orders. So I ended up with CWIS. Probably wouldn't have got that. It wasn't the top of my class.
Yeah.
And
it was that in your job field. Is that like a sought after?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. It's one of the cooler FC systems, so people definitely want to get that. So I wouldn't have got that. I would have got like a Spook 9 Bravo, which is just a radar SSDS. Same thing.
Spook 9 Bravo.
Yeah.
Who comes up with these names?
I don't know. Someone
that gets a lot more money than us.
Yeah.
That's who comes up with these names.
Absolutely. So, I got CWIS. That was a long course. Very long. So I had to wait again. So
this was in Virginia, right?
Yeah. So
right after there for a long time.
Yeah, I transferred there, and then I was on hold for about a month and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Class up there, and that's a 9-month course. That's a really long course. It's one of the longer.
How many like units was it broken down into?
Like major units.
Mm-hmm. So like with us, whenever I was going through, like my class, I think there was like 11 different units, and you couldn't move on to the next one until you passed the one you were on.
So we did tests like at the end of the week or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the same thing. But as far as like units go, I don't know. There's so many on that system.
So a good bit.
Yeah, because the gun, CWIS itself has its own radar. And then it has like a thermal camera. Then you have to do one for like all the underneath the mount itself, that what makes it move, what makes it do this and that.
The intricacies.
Yeah, and then the gun itself, like that was a unit itself. Because it's a 25 mic Gatling gun. Shoots very, 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 very fast.
That's big.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it takes a long time, and they're very thorough, because the Army has the same thing. They have CWIS also. They call it something else, but they don't teach them the whole system.
What?
They teach, I don't know. So they'll have someone that, I think now they do, like they're starting to do that.
All that money going to waste, not even using it.
Yeah, so they'll have one person that's specific for the gun, and then they'll have one person that's specific for the camera.
Unlike
the Navy.
People with y'all that are cross-trained on everything.
Right. I mean, you have to, though, because we're on a ship and
you don't have as many people.
Yeah, and you're stuck. It's like, say you're in the middle of the ocean, like you have to have these people, like certain people working on the thing. They can't just give you a whole mess of people to work on this thing. So know you'll have a handful of you that are trained on this, and you know how to do everything.
Makes sense.
So then going from there, I went to LCS Ron 2 training in Mayport, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I was attached to a ship, but I was in a training pipeline. So that ship right there, it because it's a minimally manned crew, you have to do a bunch of jobs. So you wear a bunch of different hats.
That's when you were going to like all the different schools and whatnot?
Yeah, so I was traveling all over the country doing that.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that was a long process, but I was attached to that ship, and then on board USS Fort Worth or USS Wichita. The Wichita. That's LCS 13. I was on board with them and like a part of that training. I'm gonna say 1.5 years, 2 years, and then I got hurt, so I went limited duty for about a year. And that was during like all the COVID stuff.
Was that your shoulder?
Yeah, so I had a complete shoulder reconstruction.
Yeah.
So then after that, after coming off limb duty, once I'm healed up, ready to go.
At how old was that?
I just turned 21.
21.
The military will do that to you.
Military destroys your body.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really their fault why it was that bad, because it was not something that I just sprung on them where it happened. Like,
yeah,
it was probably a small labrum tear, and I told them about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like,
they didn't do anything.
No, Tylenol. Go about your work day.
Ibuprofen and moleskin.
Yeah, I mean, and so because they did that and because they waited and procrastinated so long on just fixing the issue, whatever it may not have needed surgery at first, you know?
But it turned into something that did.
Yeah, it got pretty serious. Like, my arm wouldn't even stay in socket. Like, I would be standing there, and if I wasn't, like, holding my arm or moving it, my arm
would fall out.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, brushing my teeth in the morning was a pain. So, then after that was healed up, transferred to LCS Ron 1 in San Diego. And then
That's the Fort Worth?
Yep. So then I only had like a couple schools because I fit a different billet there.
Yeah.
I had to do like a couple schools. And then I got attached to LCS 3, the USS Fort Worth. And I've been on board there now for 6 months. And
that's how many years? You're coming up on year 5?
Yeah, year 5.
5-year mark?
Yep. Yeah, it's done a lot.
That's when I got out.
A long time. So
I was smarter.
Yeah. So for FCs, something else that's in that contract, in multiple rates that are advanced, stuff like that, you have to sign. It's like 4-year contract, but it's 2-year extension because of the extended schooling. Yeah. So because I'm there for so much longer in school, I'm not gonna send you to the fleet with 2 years of service.
Yeah.
So they get you, and they're like, all right, you're gonna do 4 years on this ship. So, but I re-enlisted. Talking with my wife and our situation, it was best at the time for me to re-enlist.
Yeah.
So I dropped my 2-year extension at my 4-year mark, and I re-enlisted for 6. So that's gonna take me to 10. But really, I only added 4. If you do that.
So what you originally would have had to do anyways.
Yeah, so I did that, and I got 1 year down out of those.
Because if you had waited to the end of your 6th year and re-enlisted, it would have been 4 anyways.
Yeah,
not another 6.
And my SRB would have been smaller because I did a smaller year amount.
Mm-hmm.
So SRB, it's a selective re-enlistment bonus.
Yeah.
And, it goes off of your job, what you're doing, how long you're going to do it, and your rank too. So for me being E5 re-enlisting for the max amount of 6 years, they're like,
because the Navy or the military in general, it's not going to give you all this money if they're not getting something out of it.
Yeah, and it's a very up and down type thing. Like, there's not always a bonus available, so I had to do it in that time if I was going to do it.
Bonuses are weird. Some bonuses are like super small, but I've known guys that got like $100,000 bonuses for re-enlisting.
Yeah, there was a chief when I was in school that got one like that, and
really?
He spent it, and the Navy actually messed up, and they gave him too much, and they took that shit back.
What?
He had already put a down payment on a house. Yeah, the military in general is very sketchy with money. If you ever get like an excess amount in your paycheck or whatever,
report it.
Don't sit on that. So when I first went to Virginia, I had that situation. I had friends that had already been to this base, similar course, but not CWIS, right? So They had follow-on orders to a ship. I didn't have follow-on orders. I just had orders to that schoolhouse. Because of the extended time, once I was done, then I'd get new orders. Some of the shorter schools are like, all right, you're going to go to this school for 6 weeks, and then you're going to go to USS whatever.
Yeah.
So because mine was longer, I didn't have that. And I didn't know that. And they were getting extra money. And my first check when I got there was bigger, probably like $800. So me being like 18, 19, and not knowing anything, I was like, I'm about to spend that shit. So I did, and I was balling out for a little bit. Next check rolls around 2 weeks later, and that's a $300 paycheck. I was like, oh my God. I was like, what happened? I was expecting, I was expecting that same big amount that I had just got, and it just wasn't there. So, yeah, pay is very, very sketchy. You have to be very careful with that. They will take that shit back in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
It's hard to get.
They will.
Yeah. If you're underpaid, man, you have to fight like so hard to get that money back.
It'll take a while to get your money, but let the military get gypped a little bit. They're just going to take it back.
And they don't give a shit if you have a family. It doesn't matter if you're single, you have family, kids. It doesn't matter. They're going to take that back like in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to wait around for that. So that's something to, always pay attention to is your pay. That's very important.
Very, very closely. All right, and that's gotten you up to five years in right there.
Yeah, so it's been a long 5, and I still got a lot more to go.
All right, then quickly touch on how was your boot camp experience? We're going to do your boot camp experience. We're going to take a small break, and then we'll come back, and then we'll do my less thrilling story.
So, boot camp is different for everyone, especially like what kind of life you have before boot camp, But if you're an average person, I wasn't some freak of an athlete. I would say I was in shape, but I wasn't like some marathon runner or anything. But I also didn't sit around and do nothing like some people.
Yeah.
And
this is located where again?
It's in Chicago.
Chicago,
yeah,
okay.
Great Lakes, Illinois. So it's a little bit north of Chicago.
And this was during the winter.
Yeah, so I went there in January. And being from Texas, I had never seen snow like that. So that was pretty crazy when I got up there. And at first, it wasn't snowing. It was just really cold.
Mm-hmm.
And then after like a week, it snowed like 3 feet. I was like, holy shit. I'm walking outside, and I got like these RDCs, recruit drill instructor. I'm calling it drill instructor, whatever.
Yeah.
Recruit division
Commander?
Commander, yeah.
Okay.
Going outside, I was like wanting to look at the snow, and they're like, eyes forward. Yeah, we're marching.
Stop looking at that shit.
Yeah. But, boot camp really wasn't that bad. You go through, and at first, like, you don't have any uniform, so you're wearing, like, sweatpants, stuff like that, like PT clothes. And then...
when it's, like, cold as hell outside.
Yeah, you're just going through, like, processing days, so, like, they can make sure all your paperwork's good to go.
Which is
like
normally,
train.
For us at least, it was about that first week.
Yeah, it was, like, 5 to 7 days.
Yeah. And
then you get all your uniforms, and you transfer barracks out of like the initial barracks that you're in, and then they move you to whatever barracks you're going to be with your division.
Yep.
And my division was like 120 something people.
That's a lot.
When we finished, we had like 60. So a lot of people
dropping like flies. Just people getting hurt? Are they failing something, or what was going on?
Failing stuff. Failure to adapt, stuff like that. We had a handful of people that, like idiots, did cocaine right before they went to boot camp. And so they popped on the piss test immediately. Yeah, so that was a big thing. And then just other little things like not being able to pass your swim test, which is super easy and no one needs to worry about that. But if you can't swim, you truly cannot swim, work on it before you get there. Because
I feel like that would be just a commonly understood thing. If you're struggling, just go to like your local pool or something and
yeah, like the Y or something like that.
Yeah, anything.
Or a lake, whatever.
Just go swimming.
Really not a hard thing. The workouts weren't that bad, honestly. They do stuff like obviously do a lot of push-ups, sit-ups,
routine stuff.
Yeah, nothing crazy. You'll see when you get there if you haven't already been. It really wasn't that hard. Running's not that hard either. And if you struggle with running before you go, like you're not a good runner, just go outside and run a mile a day.
There's only one way to get better.
Yep. And you don't have to sprint this mile. Just work up to it,
Yeah.
It's nothing hard. So, it really wasn't that bad. Boot camp was 8 weeks long. I think they just extended it. I think now it's like 10 weeks.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, boot camp, it wasn't that bad. Overall, pretty good experience. A lot of funny stories from that. But, that's too many to tell in one podcast.
Yeah.
All the craziness. But it was cool, especially being a lot younger and, experiencing things with people
There's a
from
lot to
all over the
experience.
country and even the world. There's people in my boot camp that weren't citizens, that they got their citizenship in boot camp.
Oh, we had some of those too.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. And you get to see, like, everyone's different life experiences and how people grow up. That was a big thing. Like, seeing everything and adjustment and getting to, learn to live with these people because you're with them all day, every day for 8 weeks.
And some of them you won't want to live with.
No, they're terrible. Some people are cool. There's a couple people that I still talk to this day pretty regularly, but not everyone. I would never see some of those people again. Yeah, they're terrible, but I mean, boot camp overall was pretty easy. I think it was a pretty cool experience, but
nice.
Yeah.
All right, and that right there was the first half. We're going to take a little break right now, and like you heard right there, that was the first 5 years joining the Navy in FC. There's a FC rate. A little boot camp stories, nothing crazy, and just some general stuff. Go ahead and stick around, and just here in a minute, we are going to talk about my experiences in the Marine Corps. All right, and welcome back to the Candy Cast. A little short break right there, and time for part 2, and that's more so my side of things. So you heard from Hawk right there, and that was his experience joining the Navy, time in boot camp, his schooling, just everything that he's done so far. And you have not deployed, right?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, just to throw that in there, a little last minute thing. And
underways and stuff like that, but not an official deployment.
Yeah. Okay. And, I guess now it's my turn. Questions?
Yeah, so I mean, let's kind of go down the same road and like what made you choose the Marine Corps and.
That's a fun one. That's a funny story. So, with me, I was actually looking into the Navy. Let me turn this a little bit. I was looking into the Navy, and I've had 3 different family members go to the Navy. Not him, but like older than me. So that's what I was looking into, and it just seemed right. That's what everyone did, so that's what I was going to do, just being a sheep. And I went and tried to talk to the Navy. I did talk to them. Nothing really didn't really stick out to me. It's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, it looks like I'm gonna do this. Everyone else has done it, so my turn. I didn't talk to them again for a while, right? So after that, I went out and I checked the mail one day, and you know how everyone gets those like postcards from the different military branches, like, oh, well, time to sign up. You're almost 18, son.
Yeah.
And I got mine from the Marine Corps, and it said, send this back with your information on it, and you can get some dog tags, a t-shirt, or like a poster or something like that. And I was 16. I may have just turned 17. I was really close.
All right.
And I'm like, free t-shirt, hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
So of course I put all my information on there, sent it back, and I got that t-shirt. I did. I also got a recruiter with it.
Yeah.
I was not planning on that.
I'm ready for the door that was going to open.
So, the recruiter called me. He was like, hey, I saw you ask for this information, yada, yada, yada. Come on out. Come talk to me. And I was like, I talked to my mom about it. She was like, well, why not? I was like, okay, I guess you got a point. So I went and I talked to him, and his Staff Sergeant Holtzman. I remember his name still. And I talked to him, and he was like just telling me all these war stories and this and that. And, my Call of Duty playing ass is just like,
real life. I'm like, oh, shit.
And it's crazy because he was in during like Fallujah and all that. And he was an infantry guy. So he was telling these Call of Duty stories because he lived those Call of Duty stories.
Right.
And he was showing me different pictures and stuff. And I'm just like, oh, that's crazy. And this was during the whole, like the height of Osama bin Laden and all that.
Yeah.
So, me getting all excited, I was like, oh, I'm going to get to do stuff like that too. And I was hyped. I was like, yeah. Let's do it. Sign me up. Let's go. He's like, well, you're not old enough yet. So he kept in contact with me. I kept going back for like the PT sessions and whatnot because they do that with the guys in the DEP, the delayed entry program. And eventually my 17th birthday came around and I signed up. I was a junior in high school and I was what's called a first senior, I think. So like you can't sign up unless you're a senior, but they allow one junior to sign up, and I guess I was the only idiot that asked for it. So I signed up as a 17-year-old in a junior year, so that's 11th grade. And yeah, just went from there. So for the next year and a half or so, once a week, unless it was canceled, going to PT, getting in shape and whatnot. Because when I first signed up, I never really played a lot of sports. I played tennis in middle school, and this was as a junior in high school. I wasn't doing anything anymore. I didn't play tennis anymore. And yeah, so I was not in shape, not even a little bit. And just working out with them, running a whole lot, doing pull-ups, push-ups, the whole nine. And then senior year wrapped up. I was all signed up. Everything was good to go.
Let me ask you something. So, do you think that helped people get ready for boot camp?
The PT?
Yeah.
Immensely.
Yeah. See,
so, like, for me, I remember my times still. So, before you go to boot camp for the Marines, you have to run what's called an IST, initial strength test. And you have to run a mile and a half. This was back in 2013, at least. You have to run a mile and a half. You have to do pull-ups. You have to do crunches. And I did a mile and a half in, like, almost 15 minutes.
That's a long time.
It was bad, but I never ran. I had no reason to. I was in band. I played the trumpet.
Right.
I had no need to do all that, nor did I have any want to.
Right.
So it was like almost, I think it was like 14:40 was my time. I could do 3 pull-ups, and I think in 2 minutes I was able to do like 40 crunches.
Wow.
I was out of shape, but I never worked out before that. I never went to the gym. I never did anything. And after the year and a half with them, I did my mile and a half in, I think it was like just over 7 minutes.
Okay, so that was the beginning, the initial time.
Yeah, that was the very first time I PT'd with them.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and then when I left, I was doing the mile and a half in 7 minutes, just over 7. I was doing my 20 pull-ups, which was at the time was the max. It's since gone up. And then I was doing my 100 crunches.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it literally got me to a perfect score.
Right.
But that was once a week with them for a year and a half. But at the same time, I was also running on my own probably 5 to 6 days a week, just around my neighborhood, up and down, through the winter, through the summer.
Put in the work that's required.
Yeah. I remember I didn't have a stopwatch or anything, and I wasn't gonna run with a phone for music and a stopwatch. So I remember I was judging myself off my songs. I would always run to the same song on repeat, and it was "On Top of the World" by Imagine Dragons.
Nice.
So I would know, like, all right, by the time the song ends, I need to be up the street, turn this way, down this way, and I need to be at the minimum at this house.
Yeah.
So that's how I kept track of everything. And then June 23rd, 2014, that's when I left. Went to the hotel the night before, because if you haven't gone yet and you're waiting to go, the night before you go to boot camp, you're going to go to a hotel. You're going to stay there overnight. You're going to go to MEPS in the morning, which is where you process and do all that stuff. And you go to boot camp from there.
So where's your boot camp at?
I went to San Diego. Anyone west of the Mississippi, unless this is changing, goes to San Diego. Anyone east goes to Parris Island, South Carolina.
Nice. So you were there in the summer, and being there in,
the dead of summer.
Yeah. It's super hot there.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
I bet if you were like, just living there, it wouldn't have been that bad, but
right.
being treated like a recruit during the summer. Yeah, it was pretty shitty.
Yeah.
But I 110% can say I'd rather be there than on the East Coast.
Why is that?
So fast forward a little bit. I was stationed on the East Coast. I was stationed in Beaufort, South Carolina, which is where Paris Island is. I went to Paris Island all the time for like the store and miscellaneous stuff like that. But the heat over there is 110% different from the heat here, which is different from the heat in California.
Yeah.
And is way worse in South Carolina.
Absolutely.
It's so
humid.
Yeah, because you've been there and you lived in Florida.
Yeah.
So it's just so humid. Oh my gosh.
That was a big struggle for me. Like whenever I was in Florida at first, I mean, that shit was kicking my ass. That was brutal out there. That humidity is no joke.
Yeah, whenever I got to South Carolina for the first time, I stepped outside and it was just like, because I had never been over there, especially in the summertime.
Yeah.
And it was awful. Plus they have sand fleas. Sand fleas. Oh my god! And just standing there and they would just be all over you. They're like gnats, but they bite. It's awful.
Sounds like annoying as shit.
It was, man. It was horrible.
Imagine being in boot camp, standing there in formation.
That's what I'm saying. I'd rather be on the West Coast, hands down. Like everyone complains, like, oh, we had to hike up and down mountains and yada yada yada. And I mean, and you're not wrong, so to say.
They have their differences.
Yeah, they're really steep hills and stuff like that for a small mountain, I guess.
Exactly. So,
but those bugs.
So how was your boot camp experience? Like, what was your, we call them divisions, like
the drill instructor or the
size of your, so like we had 120.
Oh,
people.
Okay. We had,
I don't know what y'all call them.
Platoons.
Platoon.
We had 80.
Right. So it was pretty good size.
84, I think.
Did you finish with all 84?
No, we did not.
What'd y'all whittle down to?
I think we finished with mid 70s. We didn't drop that many.
Right. So the people that did drop, what do you think their issue was as to why they didn't stick around?
There was one guy who just quit, and he just sat there and refused to do anything.
Pussy.
Pretty much. And don't go if you're just gonna quit, because once you're there, you're in the military more or less. So you can get in trouble for doing that, and he did, and he got kicked out. So he got kicked out for that reason. There was a few guys that got hurt pretty badly. I don't remember what happened. I think one guy broke his leg.
Yeah. Freak accident.
Yeah, there was a few people we dropped because they failed stuff, so they dropped back to other companies, and I have no idea if they made it through or not.
Yeah, fuck those guys.
Yeah, it's not that hard, man. It's really not.
Yeah, I mean, and it sounds like the Marine Corps kind of has y'all set up for success. Even though it's one day a week, every week, while you're in depth, that's still more than what the Navy did. Like I saw my recruiter a handful of times, the entire time.
Oh yeah, I changed recruiters like halfway through it, but at the minimum, I would see them once a week.
Yeah, and see,
for
like,
a year and a half.
That sounds like it sets you up for success because that like gets you in that mindset of doing it, and it gives you that initiative to do it on your own. Mm-hmm. So I mean that's good.
Your head starts getting big real quick. God. Oh, I'm gonna be a Marine.
I heard that shit all the time.
But it helped, so that's all that matters. But once I got to boot camp, rude awakening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was different. It really was. They we did the same thing like you were talking about. It had about that first week or so was receiving week. You're with drill instructors, but they're not your drill instructors.
Yep.
And then Black Friday rolls around, which is the day you go to your actual drill instructors and whatnot, and you meet them for the first time, and then for the rest of your cycle, they're the ones that are going to be there night and day. They sleep with you, they're awake with you, they don't eat.
They're freaks of nature.
They are freaks of nature. And yeah, they're just with you the whole time. You're never away from them.
Yeah. So when you leaving there, where'd you go? So what was your job? Tell us where you went.
I went after boot camp, and the Marine Corps boot camp is 13 weeks long.
This is a good bit longer than the Navy boot camp.
Yeah, just over a month.
Yeah. Now it's
And I
3
think it's
weeks.
longer now.
Oh, is it really?
I think it's either 14 or 15. I may be wrong, but
Right.
I want to say it is.
Right.
After that, you go to what's called MCT, and once again, that could either be on the East Coast or the West Coast. West Coast, it's in Camp Pendleton, and then on the East Coast, I think it's in Camp Lejeune. I want to say it's in Lejeune.
Camp Pendleton's right there next to.
Yeah, so you get out of boot camp and you go on boot leave. You don't have a choice. You go on boot leave for 10 days, and then you go back to MCT, for me at least. If you're any of the O3s, so infantry type guys, you go from boot camp to boot leave. Then you go to what's called ITB, and that's your A school. But for the rest of us that aren't infantry, hold on. For those of us that are not infantry, pogues, if you will, you go to MCT, which is like basic infantry tactics stuff. I mean, they kind of teach you stuff. You get to shoot some fast guns. It's pretty cool, but it's not like you're learning how to be like a spec op person or anything like that. It's just basic stuff.
Yeah.
And then you go to your A school, and like I said earlier, my MOS was designated as a 6,000, which is just the vague, broad. You're going to be somewhere in aviation. Everyone starts off with a 6,000 if you're in aviation.
Right.
And then I got put in GSE. I was actually supposed to be a helicopter mechanic. I don't know if I ever told you that.
No.
Yeah, I was supposed to be a guy that worked on Cobras and Apaches.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a change that ended up being.
That is not what I did. And but I became GSE. It was 6072 and 6073 at the time. That was you could be either one of those. They did the same thing, but one was more so electrical based and one was more mechanical based. Luckily, with the whole order choosing thing, it came down to you would get to pick your job, and you would get to pick where you went to C school at, depending on class order. But for my class, everyone was going to Coronado, which is by San Diego, for those of you that don't know. Everyone was going to Coronado, and they had one set of 6072 orders, which is the mechanical side. And I was like, I wanted to go to Coronado, so I got that part checked off, and I wanted to do the mechanical side. I don't like electricity. It's not fun. So it came down to who wanted the 72 orders, and it was me and one other guy. And so they were talking to us. They're like, who did better? Who's got the higher grade? And we had just taken a test the day before, or that day. I don't remember what it was. So we didn't know who was higher. So it came down to the good old-fashioned, how many fingers am I holding up? So there was a staff sergeant. He went behind his back. He said, how many fingers am I holding up? Or pick a number between 1 and 50 or something like that.
Right.
And Almond, if you're watching this, Daniel Almond, he picked a number. And then my go-to number has always been 3 for whatever reason. That's just my number. So I was like, it's 3. And that was actually the number he had held up. I was like, So I got my California orders, and I got my 72 orders.
Yeah.
And then off to California from there.
So after you go to California, so you talked about C schools earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a C school?
Yeah, that's where I was going.
Oh, that's okay. So that's what that was.
Yeah.
Did you have any other C schools? So like I was saying
I went
before,
to
I had other ones.
Sub courses, I guess, so to say. After that, for like miscellaneous qualifications, like I went to one school to learn how to paint, like paint gear and aircraft and stuff like that.
Right.
But I never went. I didn't have like another C school. We don't do that.
Okay. So then you went to South Carolina.
Yeah, I was in Cali for 2 months. Wish it was longer. Because when you don't got to stay there, it's pretty fun.
That's true. That is very true.
But I was there for about 2 months, and then I went to Beaufort, South Carolina, and that's where I stayed for the duration of my contract. I left on like little workup style things a few times, but I never got to deploy. I was there the whole time, spent my days there, got promoted. I was a Lance Corporal, which is an E3 for 2.5 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, not every job is going to advance the same way. So there's quotas for different things, and his job, unfortunately, seems like it took a long time to promote to the next rank. So, you're not going to know unless you have family members in, but those quotas, that hurt. Because I made E5 in a year and a half, and I came in as E nothing.
Yeah,
But my timing was right.
I promoted to corporal, which is E4 after 3.5 years total, which isn't, for my job, it wasn't anything crazy fast. It wasn't definitely overly slow. But for a lot of people, that's pretty slow.
Yeah.
And I was a corporal for a year before I got promoted to sergeant. Then I had my last 8 months, I believe, in the Marine Corps. Just wrote it out as a sergeant.
So what made you get out?
So the Marine Corps is that was probably loud. The Marine Corps is a special little beast. There was a lot of things about it that I didn't like. I didn't like how certain things were ran. My command overall screwed me over on a few different things. Nothing absurdly crazy, but there was stuff that happened. Not the leadership in my shop. Those are some good guys for the most part. But like the CO and stuff like that. I got screwed over a few times. It just put a really bad taste in my mouth. And then me and Devin were married at that point, and we decided we wanted to go ahead and start a family, but we wanted to raise our child around other families. So we decided we wanted to move back, and part of that's getting out.
Yep.
Because I could have re-enlisted and asked for Fort Worth, which is pretty close. There's no guarantee. So.
Yep, that's another thing. So anyone in your family that's talking to you, telling you that you just get to choose where you go, is a liar.
No,
that's not how they go.
Not how it works.
You can tell them till you're blue in the face, hey, I want to go here. And they can send everyone else that you're in class with there, and they can just put you over here.
Yeah.
And just be like, yeah, I don't know, man.
One of your incentives could be a selection of location where you want to go, and you still may not even get it. So, yeah, with the uncertainty, it just wasn't a move I was willing to take. Like you were saying earlier, staying in was best for y'all, and then getting out is what was best for us.
Right.
But I definitely miss it. I considered going back, actually, for a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
I tried some reserve stuff. That was stupid. I hated it.
I hear that a lot of people that have been active duty and they try reserves. It's just a different community. People just don't care for it.
No, it was awful. And then I had the gunny there, which E7. He was lying on me and whatnot, right? So I went there and I was talking to some of the other sergeants, and I was running my little area for I think I only went for 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
And in the reserves, that's I was there for 6 days total. That's how fast they ruined it for me.
And because you were active duty and you were going to reserve, you could just check out.
Yeah. So I was in. When you finish your contract, you go into the IRR, the inactive ready reserve. So I was able to check into the reserve unit when I wanted, and if I wanted to check out, all I had to do was check right back out. And that was the only time the Marine Corps did not lie to me, because I utilized it quick.
Yeah.
And the leadership there was really bad. The vibe of the unit was completely different,
Yeah.
And I got down with the guys, but how everything was ran, it just wasn't for me, you know? I had E3s and E2s coming up to me hey, man, what's going on?
Yeah.
And that's a no-no. That is not how you talk to your NCOs. So I fixed that, and then it just wasn't for me. So I decided to get out. Like I said, I only went, I think 3 had fun at the ball.
Right. Yeah.
And then I got out, and that's just the rest is history.
Yeah.
And I've just like you, I've never deployed. There was a few deployments I could have gone on. Things came up, and it just wouldn't have worked out. I couldn't go. I would have liked to, but I don't hold it against anybody that I didn't go. Because the one that I really had the opportunity to go on, Devin, my wife, was moving out to South Carolina, and I didn't want her to move there and know absolutely no one as soon as she gets there. So I voluntarily took myself off that one so I could be there.
So is that like a selection thing? You get to put your name in a pool to try and get deployed? Like, how does that work for y'all? Because, like, I'm on a ship, and, like, your ship's leaving, like, your
Yeah, so I was in the aviation field, right? So we had the I was a part of a MALS, which supports flying squadrons, right? And with that, all right, we're actually going to stop for just a second. I have to reset these cameras because the recording limit is going to turn off, and we'll be back in right about... All right, and we are back. Now, what was I saying? Deployments.
Yeah.
So we're attached. I was on the MALS. We support the flying squadrons. So there was the MALS. Then we had 6 flying squadrons on our base, and they were all F-18 squadrons and 1 F-35 squadron. So, it's okay. How that would work is if one of the squadrons would leave, if one of the squadrons were leaving, different people from the MALS would go with them to wherever they were going. So
Gotcha.
They'd be like, all right, we need 8 GSE guys. I was GSE. Be like, we need 8 GSE guys. So then our command would tell us that, and it would come down to like our in-shop leadership. They'd be like, all right, who wants to go? Like, I need 1 inspector, I need this, I need that, 1 sergeant, 2 corporals, this many lances, yada, yada, yada. And that's how we would pick, and we would just get to pretty much volunteer ourselves. If you wanted to go and you had the credentials to go, you were going.
Nice.
But for me, like I said, I wanted to go on a few, but I had major life events going on at the time.
Right.
So for the ones that I didn't choose to get taken off of, it was like you're stressed out right now, so you can't go. And I can't blame them, because if they allowed me to go when I was going through a major life event like I was, and something happened, they would have been found at fault, or they could have gotten in trouble for that. So I place no blame on them. I put myself in the situations I was in. But, yeah, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, that's true. It is what it is, and just move on. So, life outside of the military. How was that? Like, how was that transition? That sort of thing.
Hard.
Yeah.
It was hard. They set you up to be able to do some stuff as soon as you get out. When I did get out, that stuff fell through and it didn't work out. So I lived with family for about a year. Me, my wife, and my daughter. We stayed with family. That was fun. It was rough. Times were hard. Money was tight. But after a while, now I started using the GI Bill.
Yeah.
Now I get paid to go to school. I do get disability for some stuff that happened when I was in. Then I just have my full-time job. And now we're starting podcasts, and I have YouTube.
Yep. So, life outside the Marine Corps, you find life a lot better? Quality of life in general.
Quality of life, yes, hands down. I do not miss the Marine Corps.
Yeah. I
miss Marines, and I miss being a Marine. And, I guess once a Marine, always a Marine, that thing. Ooh. I always get called out on stuff like that. Like, once a Marine, always Marines. Normally the older guys, but
yeah.
I do miss being a Marine. I do not miss the Marine Corps, but I do miss the Marines in general.
Right.
Quality of life, though, it was a lot more stressful at the beginning because you're in the military. You got a guaranteed paycheck. I didn't have a guaranteed paycheck when I got out.
The stability right there.
Yeah, but now with my job, it's pretty stable. I don't see anything happening with it. So it's a lot better off now, a lot more relaxed. It is weird getting out and seeing people like argue with supervisors and stuff like that because you're like, no, that's not how it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, big adjustment in like how civilians are versus.
Yeah, man. Yeah, because you can't get out and just like. I mean, when you're in, something's not happening. If one of your guys is acting up, you can yell at them, you can punish them, you can do whatever you want, but that's not how it works out here.
Right.
So it's definitely took some adjusting, but I've been out for 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2.5 years. So I mean, now life is life. I'm used to it all, but
yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that day. I periodically will check how many days till such and such day when I get out.
It's cool when you get out, but it's definitely a change, definitely a gut check, But
be prepared to get out, and be prepared as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Because I've seen some people that didn't have anything together. You get out, like, what are you doing now? They're like,
essentially, someone that got out and shot someone and went to jail.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, things change. I've got guys that got out around or before me that are, mechanics. Some guys are going to college. Some are doing illegal things. I don't know if I can say that. I'm just not going to. They're doing bad things.
Yeah,
but it's not that bad. But overall, it's just a change.
Would you recommend the military to
Yes.
people that are debating?
Yes.
Yeah.
110%. The military made me who I am today.
Some sort of structure in your life.
Yeah, I needed it. And then
you needed more than you think you do.
I was not afraid to speak up when I was in high school about different things, but I also wasn't quick to do it. I did it when I needed to, not when I felt like I should, so to say.
Yeah.
That is not the same anymore. I have no problem with speaking up for myself, for those around me. Structure, being able to like organize everything and do things how they should be, that's definitely a lot better now. Yeah. Overall, I'm going to say it was definitely a 10 out of 10. Plus, it set me up. Like, over half of my income right now comes from some form of military-related thing. You know, the GI Bill, my disability, stuff like that. So, I mean, that's paying my bills right there. I go to college for free, and I get paid to do it. That's because I joined. Now, granted, I gave up 5 years of my life for that, but...
Yeah. So... Being a Marine, I know this is going to be probably already know the answer to. Would you recommend the Marine Corps or would you recommend a different branch?
Depends what you want to do.
Yeah.
So, if you're looking to go in to the military and if you want that like pride or whatnot, or if you're just like dead set on the Marines, it's really hard to change those individuals' minds.
Right.
If you're, let me move this a little bit. If you want to travel, you want to see the world, I think I would suggest the Navy.
Oh, absolutely.
You're going to go more places with the Navy or the Army. Because the Army's got a lot of like actual bases all over the world. So if you want to be stationed somewhere else and not just visit there on a deployment, I would probably say the Army.
Hey, you go on a Navy deployment, though. Depends on what coast you're going to. You're going to make port stops in.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, for people that want to go somewhere and live at a different place in the world for, like, a long time, the Army would probably be the best one, unless you did, like, MSG in the Marine Corps, like the embassy guards. The Air Force.
Chair Force.
It's not bad. I don't know who I would recommend to go there. Maybe if you want the benefits, you're not trying to do anything crazy.
If you're kind of soft, if you feel you're on the softer side.
Are you a pillow boy?
Yeah.
Are you a pillow or are you a brick? What are you gonna do? No, I mean the Air Force is a good gig though. I met some airmen while I was in. They were pretty cool.
Right. Yeah. I think it's just that shit talk between branches.
It's the stigma.
Yeah.
Coast Guard.
Puddle Pirates.
The Guardian. That's a good movie. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
The guy who's trying to be like a Coast Guard rescue swimmer.
No, I never did.
You need
that.
to watch that. That's
Pretty
a good
good?
movie.
Yeah.
It is. It's got I don't remember, but he's learning how to be like a rescue diver.
Right.
Watch that one. That's a really good movie. If you're thinking about being the Coast Guard and you want to be a rescue diver, watch The Guardian.
I was trying to be a rescue swimmer on my ship, and that's when I got hurt. And they were like, kick rocks.
Yeah, no, not for me. I suck at swimming. But yeah, I think that's a wrap on everything. You got anything else you want to add?
No, not really. I think we pretty much about covered everything.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. Haven't talked about that kind of stuff in a while. But overall, guys, if y'all have any questions about anything, he obviously does not monitor my channel and my comments and stuff like that. But if you have anything you want me to ask him, go ahead and drop it down in the comments below. I'll make sure I get those questions over to him and answered. If you got questions for me, same thing, drop them down in the comments below. Like this video if you are a fan of the CandyCast, and this is episode 2. If you're liking what you're seeing, like the video, subscribe to see more. And then, yeah, I'm probably going to try and do these once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. Hawk's about to go back to Cali 26th? Day after Christmas? Yeah, it's holiday time right now, so day after Christmas he'll be going out. We may try to do some cross-country podcasts for once he's gone. So if you do like seeing him on here, go ahead and let me know. And then I think that's going to be it right there.
Yep. Go Navy, beat Army. Gotta throw that in there. Put the beat down on him this year.
There we go. All right, and guys, until next time, I will see you later. Peace.